views expressed on this program are not those of IntellectualRadio.com, its subsidiaries, or sponsors. Encouraging, educating, and empowering you into action. This is Warriors Talk with your host, Lady ReShell.
Hello. Welcome to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady ReShell, where we move away from awareness towards action. It is Money Making Monday, and our topic for today is Home Buyers Etiquette 101. On Intellectual Radio, we just heard from the Drive at 5 with Roman. Keep it locked right here on Intellectual Radio and allow us to feed your brain. On the last episode of Warriors Talk, we spoke with Doc Michelle, and she schooled us on a completely different beast, which is COVID-19. If you missed that episode, go over to YouTube, type in Intellectual Radio, and stay connected for any episodes you may have missed. The quote of the day is, do something today that your future self will thank you for. We are grateful for our sponsors. We have Gloria Dotson with Mary Kay, who is catering to all of your beauty needs from head to toe. And we have Allstate with Paula Kelly, who is fulfilling all of your insurance needs in one place. And then we have MyLeah Simone with affordable book editing services without skimping on quality. And then we have Emmanuel Church of God in Christ with Pastor Michael Richardson, who has a special message for us.
Greetings, I am Pastor Michael Richardson.
And I am First Lady Anastasia Richardson from the Emanuel Church of God in Christ. We're located at 3058 West Van Buren in Chicago, Illinois. We are building upon a solid foundation.
And we're inviting you to join us every Sunday morning on Facebook Live at Emanuel C.O.G.I.C at 10:15 Central Standard Time. And you can also view our videos on our YouTube channel at Emanuel C.O.G.I.C-MR. Once again, this is Pastor Michael Richardson
and First Lady Anastasia Richardson, and we're from the Emanuel Church of God in Christ. We are building upon a solid foundation.
Here are your trending topics for today. According to the Washington Post, federal regulators Monday, which is today, granted full approval of the Pfizer coronavirus vaccine, which is a milestone that can help increase inoculation rates and spark a wave of vaccines mandates for employers and universities aimed at a surge of new cases and hospitalizations fueled by the ferocious Delta variant. The Food and Drug Administration actions mark the first licensing of the vaccine for the coronavirus, which has swept the United States, that is, in a repeated and pushing waves since early 2020, exhausting nursing staffings, filling intensive care units, and raising fears among the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. Some experts predict that there will not be a big bump in vaccinations. In the end, the vaccine, the vaccine approval was fast in its agent history, coming less than 4 months after the Pfizer filed for licensing, on May the 7th. So if you haven't gotten your vaccine yet, the Pfizer has been approved. So that means that it has been through federal regulations. So we know that it is safe. And so what is the excuse? So, and I know that it's a personal choice, but a lot of people were saying that it wasn't approved yet, and they were going to wait until it was approved. So now that it is approved and you have the information and it's documented, we are expecting you to make a choice so that everybody can be safe. I have a special guest today, and I'm so excited. She is a Milwaukee native who has transformed her education and career around real estate. She is a real estate broker in 4 states, which includes Wisconsin, Georgia, Florida, and Illinois. She is a real estate instructor, real estate investor, coach, mentor, trainer, keynote speaker, author, and a new real estate developer. Help me welcome back to Warriors Talk, Tamairo Moutry. Hello, Tamairo.
Hello. I am so happy to be here again, over and over, bringing you that good information. It's always great to see you. And I am happy.
I'm so excited about the topic today. I know today you need to take out your pens and your pads and you need to make sure that you are writing this information down because I'm sure that some of you who have already purchased your home have already done some of these things. But those of us who are looking to purchase, we can be educated on today. So our topic again is Home Buyers Etiquette 101. And thank you to those who have already tuned in. We have Sir Walter Jones and we have MyLeah Simone who says she's ready to learn and she grabbed her notebook. So let's go. So I know, Tamairo, that you have some of your own. So I'm going to jump in there with mine as well. And I think some of these will probably coincide with what you have.
Mm-hmm.
So let me start with the first one, and then you can just jump in and throw yours in there. So the first one is do not call other realtors.
Oh, boy. Are you ready for me to elaborate, Miss ReShell? And that definitely is on my list. I think I have it down on, it's down here, but I'm going to elaborate. As you say, I'm going to just join in and talk to you about that. One of the reasons why you don't want to call another real estate professional is because they're not working for you. You have probably signed a document, which is called the buyer agency agreement. That buyer agency agreement locks you into the realtor that you're working with. And even if you didn't sign it, hey, where's the loyalty? If someone is taking the time out to help you, knowing that real estate professionals, they work off of a commission. They don't get paid until they sell a house. We don't get paid to show houses. We get paid when we sell you a house. So think about that. If a person were to be showing you 30 houses for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then you decided to call a different realtor to work with, is that right? Is that fair? You get your check every week when you work. We want ours, and we want to be able to work with you to get to the closing table. The other thing is they don't work for you. They normally represent the seller if it's the listing agent on the other side. And I'm piggybacking on this because a lot of buyers are savvy and they're on the internet and they're going to Zillow looking at properties. And there are people smiling there who are paying Zillow for advertising. You can send the property to your real estate professional and let them get more information, but you are not to reach out to that listing agent because that listing agent is actually the sellers actually work for the seller. They don't work for you. So it's very important that you stay sticking with the real estate professional that you're working with and not call them about anything because you could jeopardize a transaction by giving them too much information.
Do you think that a lot of people are like impatient because when they do see these properties online, it's like, okay, like I want this information, I want it right now. Okay, they're taking too long, so I'm just going to call somebody else and see if I could get the information right away.
They may be, but they need to exercise patience. This is the largest purchase of your entire life. So we do need to make sure that we are being patient and actually just understanding the process and making sure that you're listening to your real estate professional, the people who are helping you, because those other people out there, they may not be and have enough wherewithal to even work with you to begin with. And you started off working with someone else that may have sent you to a lender to get pre-approved and everything. Why would you turn your back on someone and be disloyal and go to someone else just because you're impatient? We have to wait. We have to find out oftentimes if the property is occupied, if the property has offers on it already. We don't want to waste any time in your home buying process. So that's the reason why you should wait and let your own agent or realtor, broker, do their homework on that property before you get in or try to find out the right information so that you're not wasting time setting up showings and the property is already gone or for some reason you can't get in. Or lots of times there's contracts in hand already. And even though it may not show online that the property is under contract, they may have offers on their desk or in their email that we didn't know anything about. So we have to do homework before you even go and start looking at properties.
Well, what about, I have my kids and, they know that I'm looking for this house and I want to bring all my kids to the showing with me. Like,
Me and you have almost an identical list of things that I was going to talk about, ReShell. So listen, this is what I've been telling everybody. It might seem all exciting and nice, and you just want to bring everybody with you, but keep in mind some of these homes are still occupied. So we don't want a bunch of people trampling through the house. And you might feel some type of way about me saying this, but listen, you cannot bring your whole generation to these showings. First of all, COVID is running rampant. That's one good reason why we need to really just have the decision makers there so that they are the ones that are looking at the house and not bringing too much traffic in. A lot of times they have booties at the front door to put over your shoes. And lots of times kids come and they're picking at things. They're running around the house. It really is, if you can help it at all, try to keep the people to a minimum, or just make sure that it's just you, the decision maker, that's coming. Because when it's all said and done, your kids are not going to be paying that mortgage. Your mom and dad are not paying the mortgage, which I was going to get into that later, but I might as well just blend it on in. Please don't let anybody talk you out of a house that you love. I've seen that a lot where parents or friends or boyfriends or fiancés want to talk you out of a house. If that mortgage is in your name and you like it and you want to go for it, please don't let anybody talk you out of that house, because you may end up regretting it later. Some people don't pay the cost to be the boss. You're the boss if you're the one that got that pre-approval letter. So, and yeah, maybe a parent, you might want to come because, oh, this is their baby. And yeah, I've seen 40-something-year-old people bringing their parents along. Sometimes it bothers me and sometimes it doesn't, but I've seen more deals blow over for bringing people that you shouldn't be bringing to a showing or to an inspection, and we'll get to that later.
I was watching this video and it talked about, and you mentioned it, it said that they have cameras in the homes. So watch what you say when you are walking around the home, because it could blow a deal and especially if you're saying, oh, well, I got this much for the house. So now the person know exactly how much you have to offer them. Or they know that you really dislike the house, or it's something, or they know that you're not going to treat the house right, especially if it's like their grandmother's house and they're selling it. So watch what you say while you're in there, because they let you know, most of the houses let you know it's being recorded. This property is being recorded.
That's right. Leave your comments for outside. You can talk outside all you want. Make sure you're out of that home before you start making those comments. A lot of people have Ring doorbells and things like that. They have camera systems up and you probably don't see them. You make the wrong comment and you could blow the deal for yourself. You might call something ugly, or I don't know what you might say. Just keep your comments to a minimum. If you're going to talk, speak very low. Make sure you're not touching things. If you have to bring any kids, please hold their hands. They shouldn't be in drawers and running all around the house. Really, to be honest, if you can, just go yourself. You're the decision maker, so just go alone.
Michelle says she took that class in 2019.
Okay.
It says dragging multiple people through a home not only takes additional time, but it could be incredibly distracting and it could be rude to the people who live in the home. So if they're not in the buying process, it says leave them at home.
Absolutely.
So that one was called No Entourage. Do not bring an entourage with you. Come on, people.
Right.
Okay. So the next one is to avoid multiple visits. I love this home and I want to go back in there and, I want to video the place so that I can picture how I'm going to decorate this house. So I want to go back in there and take like multiple looks just so, I can get a visual. So I don't see a problem with going back to the place.
Nope.
Me. I'm just saying.
Nope. Whatever you're going to do it on that showing. If you must, have those types of things that you want to do, you have a home inspection period and you also have your final walkthrough. So you have 2 more opportunities to come inside there and do what you need to do. If you want to measure floors or whatever, wait until your home inspection comes. And again, don't bring your grandmama that's 100 years old to the home inspection when it could take 2.5 hours Don't bring your kids to a home inspection. Listen, please, people, don't bring your people so they can follow in behind the inspector and go up ladders into the attic with them. And you brought your daddy and your granddaddy, and they following them up the ladder into the attic and all down in the basement. They brought their flashlight with them, and now, there's the buyer etiquette I'm talking about. You guys need to know not to bring all these people and they're doing things that they should not be doing, touching things. And listen, I got to tell you this before we move on. I'll never forget the time that I went to a property and my buyer, she blew me totally out of the water. We went into the kitchen. Everything was brand spanking new stainless steel appliances and everything. She goes right over to the oven and pulls the handle to the oven. That you can finish the rest of this story and tell me what happened. The handle, the whole front of the oven came off. And I guess because it was new, it wasn't screwed in, but of course it was there for show and it wasn't all the way put together. And of course we didn't know that. But had she not been putting her hands on it, of course that would have never happened. And that was the actual buyer. And I had to kind of tell her, hey, please don't touch anything. But she didn't listen, because then we went into the living room and she started messing with the lamp. Bloop, the little top for the switch comes off the lamp. It falls to the floor. It rolls all around the floor. Now we got to chase the knob around to pick the knob up. And I had to tell her again, please do not touch anything, because if something comes up broken, then they're going to be contacting me. Too much.
Yeah. I guess they feel like, well, I may be buying this property, so they feel like they could be like all hands on in the property. But you have to realize that there may be somebody else that's coming behind you to look at the property. And if something happens in the property, now it's going to slow down the showing, because they got to repair the things and, before other people come in. So, just be considerate. Like we tell our kids, keep their hands to themselves. We should do the same thing. MyLeah said that she heard that you are supposed to see if the stuff works before you buy. She goes, oops.
I know that happens during the home inspection process, and nobody should be touching anything. The other reason, again, and I'm going to keep bringing this up, COVID-19 is running rampant. You should not be touching anything. I wouldn't want to touch anything in these homes. You don't know who's living in them. A lot of the properties are not vacant. There are still people living in them. So it's not a good idea for anybody to be putting their hands on anything, even light switches. What I've been telling people as a precaution, any sellers, if I have a listing, when they leave, because a lot of the people leave for the showings, I tell them to open all the doors and turn all the lights on in all areas, so no one will have to touch light switches or anything else. The doors are opened already and everything. And there's only one person that's supposed to be opening doors. If we have to open and close the door, the only person that will touch it will be the real estate professional. And have your hand sanitizer and your masks on going into these homes, and you have to protect yourself. So those are all the more reason why you shouldn't be touching anything.
Wow. Well, what about if I want to bring some food or something to drink as I'm going through that? I may get hungry because it may be like a 30 to an hour. I may want to bring some food as I'm going through the open house.
Eat before you come or eat after. The last thing we want to do is go into somebody's home that might have some white carpet down and you have some Kool-Aid or some soda, red soda, and now it's spilled and now we have a mess. And now the listing agent is calling, getting on my phone because now her seller is upset. Not only that, one of the other reasons why you don't do any of these things is because people are now saying that some of their things are coming up missing. I just saw in the real estate group on Facebook where one of the people that lived, I was a tenant that lived in a property, and their gold watch came up missing. So we don't want to touch anything. We don't want to come in with any food, damaging anything, leaving crumbs behind. I'm going to be honest. Sometimes you can walk in and they may have a bowl of candy. Get you the piece of candy and maybe put it in a bag or purse and eat it on your way out. And if you are going to stand and eat there, clean up behind yourself. If there's a garbage there, put everything in the trash.
Yeah, it says you certainly can bring food and drinks when you're looking at a home for sale, but leave everything in the car. Do not bring that bag of chips or soda into the seller's house. Don't do it. Michelle says, no, don't do it. I don't care how tempted you are. Like, don't do it. Don't do it.
Right.
All right. Well, how do you feel about people being late for the showing? We made an appointment and I show up 20, 30 minutes late.
Well, the problem with that is you'll probably be overlapping with another realtor who's coming to show. And I've seen this happen multiple times where you were late and now here's another realtor coming with their clients. And now we're all jumbled up, or they may hold their hand up like this and say, no, you have to wait. And now it's a trickle down effect, and we'll be late for every other showing after that if you come late. So it's very important. Timing is important. Time is of the essence. Make sure you're always on time. If you know that you're going to be late, make sure that you call ahead of time so that other arrangements can be made. We may need to reschedule. We know that things do come up. So do your best to just try to show up on time.
Show up on time, people. If you are just tuning in, this is Warriors Talk, and I'm speaking with Tamairo Moutry. She is our real estate guru, and we're talking about the home buying etiquette 101. And we just finished talking about don't bring any food in there. We talked about not bringing an entourage. Don't ask for multiple visits, people, and leave your children at home, and stop calling around to all these realtors. Make up your mind. So make sure that you're on time. Well, some people, if I'm thinking about living in this house tomorrow, I have pets and I may want to bring my pet to the showing so I can see how comfortable they are in the house. Because, they're going to be living there.
Nope. That's another no-no.
I can't bring the pet.
Because they may have pets themselves. The other side of the coin is you don't want your dog pooping inside the house, outside the house. Yeah, I did have a buyer bring her pets to the showings, and let's just say we had to chase the dog down the block because the dog jumped out of the window because they didn't want to be in the car. Yeah, she left them in the car, but the window had some space there, and it was enough for the dogs to jump out, and we were chasing the dog down. We can't have that. So now that's infringing on the time again. And here we are in a situation when you could have had your mom, dad, sister, brother, anybody babysit your pets and leave them at home. Just like the kids or people who are not decision makers, just leave them behind.
Wow. It says, do not bring your pets into the seller's home. If you have a service animal, make sure that you discuss how to proceed with the realtor. Some sellers have their own pets, like Tamairo said, and, they may not want you bringing the pet into the home.
Absolutely.
So, what about if I want to, some people were looking at properties and it's not even in my budget, but I just want to see it because, one day I may have to upgrade and I may want to move into it. So I just want to get an idea. So I just want to look.
You can't go to the store with no money. You don't have enough to buy an item in the store, you have to put it back. So I tell all of my buyers, please look under budget. We're in a tight market right now. There's no reason for you to be looking over budget. People don't want you walking into a house that you can't even afford. People don't want you walking into a house that you can't even afford. You can't have champagne taste with beer money. Stay in your lane. Stay in your price range. You need to actually go below your budget. So in case we need to be in a bidding war, you have enough room to go up in price rather than you looking at something that's out of your budget and you're never going to be able to compete. In this market, we're having a lot of multiple offers. It doesn't make sense for you to look at anything that's even close to your budget or beyond your budget. That just makes, you're putting yourself in a failure position. You don't want to be failing before you even start. So it's best to stay at least 10,000 at the very least. I normally tell mine to stay 10 to 15, sometimes even 20,000 below budget, so that if we need to be in a bidding war, that we'll have enough room to compete with the other buyers.
I know that these houses are not staying on the market long at all. Like soon as I see a house on the market, I go back a week or two later and they're either under contract or they're off the market. So yeah, I totally agree with that. But like you said, sometimes we have that champagne taste, but we don't have that budget and we just like, I want that, and it's like, no, you can't get that. So and being realistic, when you're in this process is very important as well.
Yep.
Tamairo, how important is it for us to follow the instructions, when we're going through a showing? Because some people may have instructions for you to follow. I think you mentioned one of them would be putting on the shoe covers if they don't want you walking through, if they have the white carpet, they don't want you walking through their house with your shoes on. So it'll tell you at the door, please take your shoes off or please put the cover on. So how important is it to follow those rules as you're going through the showing?
What if you have mud on the bottom of your shoe? What if you have stepped in some poo-poo? You don't want to bring that in someone else's house. So it is important. You have to look at the people as if this was your home. Would you want someone tracking in your home? They've obviously cleaned it so that it could have good presentation for you when you come. And again, it goes back to respecting people's homes and respecting their things and respecting their place. And I know, again, that I wouldn't want anybody in my home that didn't have enough on their pre-approval letter to even purchase it. And now you're coming in with muddy shoes and now the white carpet is muddy because you didn't look at the table when you first came in where it had a little bowl there for you to put the shoe covers and booties on. So please follow the instructions of your real estate professional. I have so many other things that I could talk about to tell you what you should be doing. I'll wait for ReShell, but please follow any instructions from your loan officer or your broker, realtor, agent. It's very important.
Okay, I'm gonna throw this one in there because as you was talking, it popped in my mind. How do you feel, or where's the etiquette at if I saw the buyer? If I saw the seller and I wanted to approach them because I wanted to just, kind of like sway them towards me, towards my offer. Like, where does that fall?
No. That's off limits. It's funny you brought that up. I just was telling somebody about this the other day where I had an agent that was working at my firm, and one of the clients that she didn't get her offer accepted. And she went to the seller's house and knocked on the door trying to figure out why they wouldn't take her offer. That is a no-no. Because again, that's just not how it works. They have an agent that works for them. You have an agent that works for you. And that is totally unethical. And it is something that you should not be doing. You cannot go around the listing agent to talk to the seller. That's unethical. And even though people might be saying, hey, well, I don't have to be bound to the rules that you have because you're a real estate professional and I'm just the buyer. I can do what I want to do. But no, you could end up in a mess behind that. And there could end up being a lot of confusion for you trying to do negotiations and everything behind your realtor's back.
Oh my goodness. Michelle said her budget is 200,000 only. I think it's important to know what your budget is. So like Tamairo was saying, not to go over your budget, or to leave some space in there so you can have room to negotiate.
Not just negotiate, but you might need closing cost assistance. We need room not for negotiations, but also for closing cost assistance as well. So that's the reason maybe people don't understand why I'm saying, hey, go 20,000 under. Well, that's leaving room to negotiate to bid up. And that's also leaving room in case I need to ask for $5,000 in closing cost assistance to have the seller pay. If you don't have all the money, then we want to try to ask that seller to help us.
And that's why this is important for us to know exactly how we should act, what we should say, what we should do when buying a house, especially if you haven't been through the process. And even if you have been through the process, a lot of people have been through the process years ago. And, sometimes things change and you need to just update yourself so that you can find out how to act, what to do, so that you could get the best deal. And not only that, have the best experience going through it. And after all, you're purchasing something that could be, it's a big purchase, and most people will purchase this one time in their life. So you want the process to be a good experience. I know I do.
Absolutely.
I want to be able to remember everything.
Right.
Okay, we're on number 10. So we're on number 10 is don't ask your agent to show you homes until you have signed, and you mentioned this, that buyer's broker agreement.
I love that. That should have been on my list. It's not, but it should have been. Because again, you can't go to the store and buy things with no money. It's the same thing. You shoot in the dark because you really don't know what you qualify for. You should never ask your agent or broker to show you any homes without first being pre-approved. Remember, why would the seller want someone in their home who they don't even know can get a loan? That is reserved for people who have actually gone through the process, the pre-approval process. And there's a difference between pre-qualification and pre-approval. Pre-qualification is pretty much what you've told the loan officer that you can afford, and you've gone over your income and your assets, and these may be things that they've written down based on what you've told them. However, pre-approval is totally different. It's when they've actually collected your documents and actually did everything that they were supposed to do, pull your credit, and to actually see what your buying power is at that point. Pre-qualification, pre-approval. Pre-approval is stronger in everybody's eyes. Sometimes the pre-approval has gone through underwriting already, and they know right away what you can afford, and that's how you know what you should be shopping for based on that. Please turn those documents in on time, people. Please don't hold on to those documents. Listen to everything that your LO tells you to do. LO, loan officer, your broker. Don't talk to any other realtor that's not privy to your transaction. I had a buyer who did that. She went and started talking to another realtor in the middle of our transaction, and it could have blown the deal. It was taking too long. We were outside of all of our contingencies, and I didn't know the realtors that she was talking to, and I would have turned them both in because that's against our code of ethics for us to be advising and talking to another client who is already represented by another realtor. Please don't do that. Turn your documents in on time. That could delay your closing. Be respectful of your broker and your loan officer's time. Please make sure you understand that you are not their only client, that you are being respectful to them, that you are respecting their time, that they do have families, they have husbands, and they do have things that they need to do outside of this. Give them 24 hours to respond back to you. Everything can't happen right now. That's a problem with a lot of people. We need to get better with that. Learn to wait your turn 24 hours. If a couple of days pass, maybe you can reach out and say, hey, is everything okay? Don't expect your real estate professional to respond like that all the time. They could be showing houses. They could be in a closing. They will get back to you. Give them 24 hours to do that.
All right. Be patient, people. Be patient. You did speak on this a little bit. Don't make an offer without you being pre-approved.
Most of them won't take it, ReShell. They will not consider your offer without the pre-approval letter. So here's the thing. Let's just say somebody was just being nice and saying, okay, well, I'll show you the house. And you go there, you absolutely just love this house and you got to have it. Well, guess what? Now you don't have a pre-approval letter. They won't consider your offer. Now we got to hurry up and rush and try to get you pre-approved. And by the time that happens, guess what? The house is gone. Now it's under contract. When if you had gotten ready and you would have been ready and you did like it or you did love it, you could have written an offer at that time. But because you weren't ready and you were doing things backwards, Now you put yourself in a situation where you couldn't even compete because somebody else did what they were supposed to do and you didn't.
Wow. And I know we like to look first, which is probably backwards. It's actually backwards for us looking first. You should get pre-approved first and then go look, because you're going to be disappointed, because I think some people really think that they qualify for more than what they have. So don't disappoint yourself. Don't even look. Just state the fact that you want to purchase a house. Go get pre-approved so that you know the amount, and then you know what to fix your eyes on. Because otherwise you're going to be trying to get something that you really can't afford. And then I know you mentioned this before, being house poor. Some people are house poor. They have a house, but they can't do anything else.
Just because you're pre-approved to $350 does not mean that you should use that whole $350. You know what you can afford. Nobody knows your finances better than you. And remember, the loan officers, when they get you your pre-approval letters, what they normally are doing is they're looking at all the debts that are on your credit report. There's a whole bunch of other bills that you have that are not reporting on your credit report. So you have to think about all of that and do correct budgeting. Make sure you get all of your budgeting together prior to you going to get pre-approved. Some people have their budget. I normally tell people to try to stay within their rent amount. So if you pay $1,200 for rent, try to stay around that same amount. If you do go up, don't go up more than $300, because now you starting to get where you have a payment shock and you are not used to paying that amount. And don't forget, you're going to now have additional bills, which is water. Some people may already pay a water bill if they're in a single family, but just remember that you have car insurance, you have a cell phone bill, you have you do have your utilities, but all of those things don't get counted on your credit report. So make sure you know that where your stopping and starting point is. And just because you like the home, maybe another time, maybe you might get a raise on your job, and later on in life, you can go and buy something better when your income is better. And I'm not saying that you should settle. What I'm saying is be economical and don't go out there buying something that would have you stretched.
It's true. Michelle said you have to get that pre-approval letter so that you know how much you are approved for. She goes, right, because you could lose everything. You could. I mean, you miss one paycheck and that's it. So a lot of people are, they live in paycheck to paycheck. So just be smart. Right. This is about being smart, get the information. Be smart about what you kind of do, especially, like I said, if you're purchasing this house, this is probably the biggest purchase that you're going to make in your lifetime. So the last thing you want to do is to take the wrong steps to do it and end up losing the house and be in more debt. So we don't want to do that. So we're giving the information so that you can make better decisions. All right, where are we? We did that one. So number 12 is, I don't know if we did this one already. Don't pretend that you're ready to buy if you know you're not. I think people do this sometimes just to get out there, just to see what's out there, knowing that they're not going to be ready to buy for probably a year or so, maybe 2, but they just want to see what's out there.
Yeah, well, they can look online. We got Zillow, we got Trulia, we got Realtor.com. We got all kinds of websites that you can look online and just look at the pictures. Maybe that'll motivate you to get ready. You should be getting all of your documents together and putting them all in a folder anyway, so that when you are ready, it won't take long for you to gather the documentation needed to send to your loan officer when they request it. If you have it all in a folder already, then it won't be difficult for you and you won't feel so overwhelmed trying to pull things together. And they do get lengthy and they ask for a lot of stuff. So, it's important that you know where all your tax returns are, all your pay stubs, your W-2s. They ask for 3 months of bank statements, your ID, your social security card. They ask for a lot of things. So, when you start to get ready for this, make sure you have enough down payment saved up. And listen, please, people. Listen, please have enough. Please. Don't you dare go trying to get loans and stuff in the middle of this process. That is going to blow. I was in a Facebook group and they were just, I guess they asked a question about what happened for a buyer to blow a deal. They talked about people going out buying Lamborghinis and they get into the closing table. Yeah, well, I told my boss that where that I'm gone and lose the deal at the table because they quit their jobs. You guys, you can't do all of that stuff. You've got to continue working all the way through. They pull your credit right before you close. Buyers, please don't go trying to buy furniture before you close on these transactions. They pull your credit again to see if your score dropped. They pull your credit again to try to see if you've committed mortgage fraud. They pull your credit again to make sure you didn't get any additional debts on your credit to make you fall out of the program. So you can't do any of that. I'm including that again as part of buyer etiquette because a lot of times they don't listen. And don't sign a contract and think you're going to back out. People think that this is a game. When you sign a contract, it's a legal and binding contract. You can try to walk away if you want. That seller can come after you and litigate against you. This is not just a piece of paper. When they take their home off the market and you pay your earnest money, you are in that deal. And the only time you can get your earnest money back is if you have a bad inspection and you couldn't come to terms on it, which that's the next point I was going to talk about next, the home inspections. People, these houses are 100 and some years old. You can't expect the inspector to go in there and not find anything wrong. There's going to be a long laundry list of things. But what you need to do is pick out the big ticket items. Pick out the items that you know are going to tear a hole in your pocket. Those are the items that you want the seller to fix for you. You are not going to pick out petty little things and think that as soon as you get the inspection, that everything on the list, you want everything done on the list. No, that's not your opportunity for the seller to make the house brand new, because if that was the case, then it would be a brand new home build. It would be new construction. These homes are old. This is one of the biggest pet peeves that I have, is that you must know how to pick out the big ticket items. If you need help with it, you can always talk to a contractor. Ask your home inspector that works with you if they think that's a big ticket item, and get help with this if you don't know. But please don't let yourself be afraid of getting into these home inspections and then you're deciding you're going to walk away from every house because it has issues. Each and every house that you get, when that inspection is done, you're going to have a laundry list of items because the homes are not new.
That was my number 15. It's really about, it's about asking questions about the house. So you're asking questions about those big ticket items so that you can assess and know what you have to do, because I know you mentioned before that you can ask the seller to fix certain things, and that could be included in there. They may do it, they may not, but I mean, you can ask. You could definitely ask.
Right. And the other thing that happens during that situation is they may issue a credit so that you can bring less money to close it. However, my problem with that sometimes is, what if my buyer doesn't have the means to fix those repairs? And you also have to look at the seller standpoint too as well. There may be a reason why this seller is selling and why they can't make the repairs. They could have lost a loved one that they had income with, and that was helping pay the mortgage. They could have gotten sick and ill, and maybe they lost a job, and they may not be able to make all the repairs. So with that being said, there are going to be some times where they'd rather just reduce the price by $5,000 instead of them trying to, make the repairs because they just don't have it. And there's one of the reasons. Some people are relocating and they only have enough money to move. So there's many other reasons why, but your realtor is not the one that you should be asking about this, because you want to know why? Your realtor is not a home inspector. Your realtor shouldn't be telling you, oh, well, that's major. Oh, well, that's minor. The reason you don't do that and you don't ask your realtor's opinion is because if something goes wrong, then it's on that realtor. Oh, the realtor was the one that said that this was minor, and it could open the realtor up to a lawsuit. So you just need to, talk to some contractors and other people once you get your inspection, and you can talk to some professionals to find out what you feel might be big ticket or not.
Michelle said, why is the bank charging us all this money to buy a home or house, and we got to do all this work to it?
It's not the bank charging it. It is what the market is bearing right now. And actually, we're in a bear market where people just want to move. People are upgrading. People are downgrading. People are, are empty nesters now, and their kids are off to college, and They want to downsize. People are growing their families, and they're also overbidding for the properties. It's not the bank, it's the seller. And be honest with you, there's a lot of greedy sellers out here that are just taking advantage of the market. So it's not the bank charging it, it's the greedy sellers, unfortunately. And since they have the upper hand, they're taking advantage of having the upper hand.
I have a coworker that recently resigned, and her husband sold their house. The house was actually worth 3 times what they paid for it, and they went and brought a cheaper house somewhere else and put that money in the bank. And I'm like, wow, like, so, I mean, to be able to do that, first of all, you got to be paying attention to what's going on, and you got to be patient. A lot of us don't want to have the patience to, sit and nurture this thing. We just want to move. If it's not working for us, we want to get out of here. All right, I'm putting too much money in this house, and I want to get out of here. Like, we don't want to take time to nurture what we have.
That's so true.
All right, I think we did this one 13. I think we did this one already, because cancel at the last minute. We did mention about being late, and I'm not sure if you put that in there.
Canceling at the last minute. We didn't actually talk about that, but yeah, that ties into being late too. Because again, we may not be able to reschedule, or that could put you in a position where you're not able to view the home, and now there's multiple offers on the table and you've lost that opportunity to view the home. So, and canceling home inspections and canceling anything dealing with the house, canceling inspections, appraisals, all of those things, they stop you from closing on time. They actually, and here's the other thing. We're in a situation where the appraisers are backed up because so many people are refinancing because of the low rates and because of everyone purchasing right now. They have a shortage of appraisers. So the minute you start taking long to pay for your appraisal, you could be 2 or 3 weeks out, and that's what's pushing a lot of our closing dates back. So it's important that you try to stick to your deadlines and you turn your earnest money in when you're supposed to. This all falls under buyer etiquette, making sure that you follow every direction that your realtor tells you to do. Please don't start talking to me about your granddad that bought a house back in 1947, because guess what? It's 2021 now. A lot of things have changed. Your auntie down in Georgia can't talk about what's going on in Milwaukee. And yeah, even though she's a realtor, the laws are different. I'm in different states myself, but you are still supposed to be sticking to your real estate professional as it relates to your transaction, period. That's the way it has to be.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Like, when you sign that contract with that person, a lot of people may feel like, I can skip around, but no, they're going to hold you to that. So, just be careful when you get ready to do it. That I think you mentioned on a previous show about interviewing, the realtors to see what fits you best, because a lot of times we may get it from somebody else and it may not fit us. So make sure that realtor fits you so that they can, give you the best things that you need, because they're going to be building you a team. So I think, not just go with because so-and-so, say, hey, they was a good realtor. Maybe they was for them, but you have to get someone that fits you.
I already know that I'm not for everybody. Everybody isn't for me. Some people walk away from me, and I also fire people. And I can't say that they fire me, because you can't fire a boss. But I will say that I have given people their walking papers, because I cannot have people not following the directions that I'm giving them, the directives and directions, when I am supposed to be looking out for your best interest. Your real estate professional is there to help you through this process. So it only makes sense for you to be listening to them. I don't want to hear about what your grandmama said that should have been done or whatever, because that may have been back then. But there are ways that things have to be done now that you have to adhere to, because it could blow your transaction from you getting advice from other people who are not privy to your transaction.
Ooh-wee. All right. I think we did this one too. You'd already put it in there. I think we talked about Photos, like you in somebody else's home and you're taking photos, are you supposed to ask before you just go in there taking photos or video and then you posting it on social media? Like, hey, I'm about to buy this house and these people still have their things in the house.
Right. I usually tell people that if the house is vacant, I really don't have a problem with it. But if somebody is still living there, then I'm totally against it. I mean, I have to do it a lot of times when tenants are still in properties and I'm working with investors. I always ask the tenants permission first before I do a video or take pictures. And I let them know that I'm working with an out of town or out of state investor. And if they say no, I leave it at that because I understand why they may be saying no. Maybe they didn't clean up, or maybe they don't want people to see their personal items, whatever that may be. People are people. And sometimes they feel some type of way when you're showing all of their belongings that's in their property.
Michelle said, if the rates is low and my credit card got caught up in the pandemic, what should I do to buy a house? You mean credit card or your credit score?
If the rates is lower and my credit card got caught up in the pandemic, what should I do to buy a house? First thing to do is go and pull your credit scores, see what the credit scores look like at www.scoresense.com. SCORESENSE.com. ScoreSense. www.scoresense.com. That's one site. www.creditchecktotal.com. You'll have to pay $1. Creditchecktotal.com. Pull all three of your scores. The lender uses your middle score. These may be Vantage scores. If you want to go to a more expensive site, you can. But this site is going to give you the real deal. This is what the lender pulls from www.myfico.com. MYFICO.com. MyFICO.com. You start there.
What was the other one? Score
Credit Check Total.
I got Credit Check Total. I got myfico.com. And then it was ScoreSense.
ScoreSense. ScoreSense.
ScoreSense.com. Okay. So I'm putting them up there for you guys. You can go to these websites and get your credit score so you can stay on top of where you are and what work you have to do as it relates to your credit. Tamairo, thank you so much, first of all, for this information. I know that it's going to help a lot of us. I learned a lot today, so I hope that you guys learned a lot. Thank you for your comments. Tamairo, go ahead and give us some words of wisdom as it relates to Home Buyers Etiquette 101.
I'm going to follow up and conclude with just learn to be loyal. I've seen so many people in this business that are not loyal. And don't get me wrong, I know that everybody is not a good fit for each other. I got that. But make sure that you're communicating fully and in the right way so that if you have to part ways with your real estate professional, that you're doing it in the right way and that you're using proper etiquette to do so. Put it in writing. And maybe don't have to do a big song and dance about why you're breaking off the relationship. It could be something as simple as, thank you for your time and assistance, but I'm going to move in a different direction, something to that effect, and keep it professional. Do the best you can to keep it professional.
Awesome. Thank you. So we're going to do, MyLeah has a request, Tamairo. She says, please do a show on buying land or building a home from the ground up.
Okay.
So
new construction.
Yeah. So new construction. So we can add that to your list. Tamairo is on every fourth Monday, you guys, talking about real estate, home buyers, credits. We talked about extra streams of income. And today we talked about Home Buyers Etiquette 101. So thank you so much, Tamairo. I appreciate you every single month, just giving us your wisdom unselfishly. I
appreciate you having me. Thanks for everybody that tuned in.
You're welcome. I will leave you guys with these words of wisdom. It always seems impossible, you guys, until it's actually done. So join me next Monday at 6 p.m. right here on Intellectual Radio. As always, thank you for tuning in to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady ReShell, where we are changing lives one warrior at a time.
Thank you for listening to this week's edition of Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell. To find out more about Warriors Talk, follow at Warriors Talk, the number 1, on all social media outlets. and Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell on YouTube. Please join us next week and every Monday evening at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on IntellectualRadio.com for Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell, where we encourage, educate, and empower you into action.